There's no easy way to begin today's talk. As a whole, the human race possibly, and maybe it's only just our society, has never been at a more transitional moment than we are right now. And I'm talking partly politically, which is pretty inevitable, but globally on so many levels, including the environmental forces at work, the terrifying and miraculous arrival of AI, and then, of course, the election, all happening in 3 days, 2 days. And things are going to change. No matter what happens, things are going to change. And the world will be what the world has always been, which is a realm of change. We have not witnessed probably the dimension of transformation and change that's about to occur. We were born, all of us, into a remarkable time of primarily peace and, in a certain way, well-being, although that's obviously not for the whole human race. Everybody has different experiences in the world, and some societies, some cultures have it easier than others. But as a whole, the world's been a pretty good and pretty comfortable space to be in. And that may be changing in ways that we have never, ever experienced. It feels cosmological, it feels spiritual, it feels mundane, it feels total and absolute and casual in some ways. It's kind of participating in all the dimensionalities of the human journey. But come Tuesday in the American election, things are shifting. And exactly where they'll go, I'm not able to predict, nor is anybody, as far as I can tell, and everybody's trying. It could get very dark. But what's really happening is, and whoever's on, someone has to mute themselves here because it's got clicking sounds somewhere. But whatever happens, the world has taken a picture of itself as yin and yang as never seen before, a almost perfect balance in our country of light and dark. And people who are on the light side may think they're on the dark side, and people who are on the dark side may think they're on the light side, but there is something truly problematic in a way that will probably get depicted and maybe resolved shortly. How do we respond to the drama, if that's what it is, that unfolds in the days, weeks, and months that are coming? That's up to you. The guidance system, the truly valuable guidance system that you're looking for is inside you. And if you have found a way into that space, it will tell you how to move forward, what to do, how to show up, how to be heroic or how to be quiet, how to express yourself, how to step back into the background. It will tell you what to do, but it's going to impact you. It's going to impact all of us in a fundamental way that will involve what Rudy calls work. We really need to do the work in order to ride the unbelievable waves and turmoil of what's arriving. And the work is really fascinating. And we are beneficiaries of the teaching. And the teaching really comes down to take a breath into your heart chakra. If you can go to your belly chakra as well, but take a deep breath and ask inside for help to surrender, no matter what is happening in the world, no matter how much upheaval, no matter how sweet and how wonderful it all is. You want to let go of your attachment to the impermanent, because everything that is happening around you right now is part of the impermanent. It may be a dramatic impermanent, and more dramatic than you've seen and more threatening than you've seen before. On the other hand, it's temporary. It will come and it will go. You will come and go. But if you've begun the journey into your true, deeper self, you will see a place that will announce itself as something other than impermanent. There is something about the vastness of our being that is universal, is eternal, is filled with magnificence and grace, if you will, that has created this strange, amazing universe that we have inhabited and will continue to do that. But our connection to it is to enter into the manifestation, to witness it, and then to return to the true self that has generated and created it. I've been using the word a lot, radiance. Something has radiated this existence. It's radiated this moment. And this is a really important moment because we tend to see it as purely yin and yang, good and evil, light and dark, but it's shadowy. And what we may see as dark on one side, when you look at it deeply, is really more filled with shadow, and the same with the light side. It is all part and parcel of a dynamic that is both exquisitely detailed and beautiful, and also impenetrable in terms of understanding or knowing what it is. You may look at the other side and think it's just forsaken and dark and terrible. But if you look deeply at any side of this equation, it is filled with the human experience. It is filled with the beauty and the joy and the suffering and the confusion and the ignorance that prevails in human life. Buddha said, ignorance is the source of suffering. And there is ignorance on every level, even when you think you know, even when you think you have all the answers. Usually those are cognitive spaces that come from the mind, which is a limited part of your awareness. The mind is only, some people think it's the elevated part, but it's only a portion of knowing. There's also knowing that happens in your heart. There's knowing that happens in your gut. There's knowing that happens in your whole being. And when it finds its true nature, it is profoundly loving, empathetic, comprehensive, and knowing of life itself. And it forgives the darkness that comes into the world, and it doesn't overwhelm the goodness. It's all part of this extraordinary journey that happens for reasons that, we don't, as human beings, truly understand. But the tiny little inkling that I keep finding in my own spiritual practice is that there is this exceedingly potent force expressing itself into manifested state for a reason, and that reason seems to be to witness and see and know itself. That's really what it wants. And what does it use to know itself? It uses us. It uses our eyes, our nose, our ears, it taste buds. It relishes in its own experience of life as we know it. It is an exquisite, radiant being that uses us to touch itself. And I mean uses every one of us, even the darkest and the worst part of us, because it knows itself when it looks through all of our eyes. So those of us who do things that are quote unquote evil are still manifesting this unknowable, unrecognizable force that penetrates and manifests and becomes the world. There appears to be hierarchies in all of this, hierarchies of kindness and goodness and understanding and awareness and empathy. There appears to be that. And because our entire worldly system is an educational system about growth and transformation and elevation and moving toward higher and higher ground. There is something about human beings that goes upward, that tries to graduate into higher and higher awareness. And that's very valuable. It seems to be part of the world. And it seems to have a goal, which is clarity of mind, depth of heart, intuitive knowing that guides you through life, and this profound awareness that starts to come into something which is labeled in the clearest and simplest sense as love. And my experience over the course of my spiritual practice is that the word love is at the center. It has always been at the center. It has never been anywhere else. And that radiance which creates us is the essence of love. And we need to bring that love to the table no matter what is in front of us. And if the worst of the worst is starting to unfold, and that, yes, that may be at any given moment in time, whether it's historically and sociologically and sort of filtering through the manifested world or just in our own body and mind, whatever starts to happen, there is at the core this love. And that love expresses itself clearly as attachment and caring and loving and being one with everything. It also expresses itself as kindness. Kindness, which is the Dalai Lama's and Buddha's core teaching. The kindness of being is what this is about. And if you want a directive of how to deal with the coming transformational moment that we are really about to enter, the key directive is be kind. Be kind. Find the love. Move forward with that. And then, of course, I always talk about community because it's helpful to have each other. When times get tough, as they can and probably will, connecting to each other with empathy and compassion and consideration and availability and making ourselves sort of part and parcel of a whole that cares about itself and each other, that's an extraordinary thing to do in this lifetime. And if we can do that, we can ride the waves. Now, yes, they can become tumultuously difficult waves. And if that happens, we need each other more than ever. And show up for each other, try to be available to each other, because that is the only thing I can see that can move us through the kinds of upheaval and turmoil that may be arriving. But one way or another, what is coming in the coming transformational moment is unlike anything we have seen. And it could look dark and it could look like something that will keep you up all night and worrying and fear and all of that other stuff. And trust me, I know exactly what that feels like because I have those feelings as well. But as you know, and I've talked about this, I'm instructed in the middle of the night to send love into the world. Just do it. Send love. And I understand how potent that is and how powerful that is. But I will tell you, I've been talking about all of this with my therapist. Those of you who don't remember that I have a Jungian therapist for the last 20 years, uh, someone I love talking to who's a wonderful guide. She threw out a word for me the other day that I wanted to share as well, which I think is really kind of important at this moment in time, because she agrees with me with almost everything I'm saying about, oh my God, what's happening and what's going to happen in the world. She said, be prepared for surprise. And I really like that idea. And she looked at it partly as AI, because there is stuff happening so fast in so many ways, so beyond us that we don't have any comprehension of what that could be. We just don't. And my son Josh, who is he's always on the cutting edge of things, always. He did two things in the last week. One of them was take a picture of my grandson standing in a field and then suddenly turning away from the camera. And this is a still photo, turning away from the camera and flying off into the distance. And I went, I have no clue. No clue. Now, I wrote a movie many years ago called The Last Mimsy. And the final shot of that movie is all these kids listening to the story of humanity. And at the very end, they're sitting listening to a teacher talk, and they're very simple kids, and it's like a real story being told, and they're all like around, not quite a campfire, but that kind of idea. And at the end of it, they just all flew off. They just flew off. And for me, that was a movie, but this is AI, and my son is doing this with his camera. He did one other thing. He played me a audio thing that he did, a podcast, and the podcast um, was two people, man and woman, talking about him. And it was about 15 minutes long. And I can only say, if you die at some point and want people talking about what a wonderful life you've had, you want to hear this podcast. It was perfect. He sounded like, and he is for me, but he sounded like one of the most perfect human beings who ever lived, with all these accomplishments. They spoke with such intelligence about his drama and his struggle and the things he did and the things he created. And these are two people who do not exist at all. And there I was listening to a eulogy, if you will, or certainly an example of praise for someone who I knew, and they were right about almost everything they said, but they were not real. I throw this out at you because in this moment of tumultuous change, that's a part of the equation we know nothing about. Nothing. And if my son, who's just on he's in the mainstream of just picking pieces out of the equation and playing with them, if he can do that, then all of us are going to be witnesses to and experimenters with a world we do not expect. We may find that that world can create new energy sources that will change the whole nature of how the planet is run. That could happen in 5 years, 2 years, and suddenly we are, free of all the polluters and the things that are polluting the world because the fusion energies are suddenly working and available. We can find healthcare beyond anything we've ever imagined, on and on and on. Of course, there's also the dark side, you know, and that's really, it's important. Of course, everything has both sides, but I tell you that they have both sides because in the moment we're in, it's not darkness taking over the world. It is an expression of a darkness that is part of and existent in all of our lives. It's everywhere. It has always been thus. The fact that we're polarized may just mean that this is an opportunity to find what binds us rather than what drives us apart. That's the Pollyanna version of it, but it would be beautiful. But all I can say is this week, it begins, whatever it is. And we are all moving into newness on some foundational level. We can be afraid of it. We can be in a state of horror. We're going to see all sorts of people talking on the newscasts, about doom and gloom and whatever, or maybe our last possible chance at hope and, things will be great. Hard to know what's going to happen. All I can tell you, ground yourself in the infinite and eternal radiance that is streaming through you as we speak. Move into the radiant and blast it into the world around you. Be the source of light, be the source of kindness, be the source of love, no matter what happens. It will mean that you are creating an environment that you get to live in. You get to live in an environment that comes right out of your gut, being kind and loving and showing up in the most mundane way for everyone around you. That's the goal. So, 60 years of spiritual practice for me doesn't resolve the issue that I worry about humanity, that I feel anxiety. I feel, I had to go vote, which of course Blanche and I did. We're part of the system. We're part of the process. We have desires and hopes, but we are also, because of our inner life, our practice, because of Rudy, because of all of this years and years of reaching inward, we are rooted in something that is changeless and eternal and infinite and in my sense of it, beautiful and founded in love, in love. So I can go on, and I know that you think I'm going to do that, but I'm not. I am done. We are going to be back here in a week, see where that goes. And I'm sure we'll all have lots to say or not. But I want you to know that I love you. I love you all. Try to worry as little as you can. I would encourage you to engage the world with voting and that kind of thing, and open-heartedness, and try to be fearless if you can. It's a potent time to be alive, and we're in it. Thank you. Of course, if there's any comments, criticisms, worries, fears, joys, if you want to say something, you're welcome to it.
Question.
Yeah.
Or question.
Huh?
Or question.
Or questions, I'm told. If anybody has a question about this. Wow. Wow. Okay, I know you all want to go eat.
What is
Okay.
reality?
Pardon?
Hey, what is reality?
What is reality, George? You're sitting in it. I mean, what is reality that you can try to,
all the stuff coming out of the news media from the trees.
well, I mean, that's all part of manifested reality. And manifested reality is part of the equation. Unmanifested reality is also part of the equation. And if you have the balance of that, you realize that there is no tool that human minds have that can grasp reality and tell you what reality is. But you can not only witness it, you can really understand that you are it. You are the reality, George. And I'm grateful that you are.
Better up here, the one-on-one, but when you talk about it, it's kind of like stability and relative peace everyone is used to. When you talked about stability and peace that everyone can experience to grow up in, but I think it's not true outside of a very small, like Western world.
Well, that's very, I mean, I know what you're saying because I know where
It's
you
not
come
very
from.
true.
Right. I mean, you come from Russia,
It's very
Soviet.
dark.
Yes, you come from a very, very dark place, and we have managed to live in a very light place. So
Mhm.
for me to talk in the generalities of everything is sweet and good is, it's a very limited point of view, and every one of us has that limited point of view. For you to bring up the other side of it is really important, I think, because you witnessed some of the things that are about to happen as part of your
That's
life
not
already,
right.
right? So you what?
In other parts of the world, what's coming here, maybe it
Yeah.
already happened.
Yes, yes.
That revolution.
Yeah, Evgeny is saying in other parts of the world, what's happened there is coming here. She's already aware of it, and I will tell you, brings a smiling face, love, a wonderful daughter, wonderful husband into a very lovely space. So there's something about that that's to be looked at. But yes, the world has always been dark and light in every different corner. And we, as you know, people in this particular country have been very blessed. And I will say that blessing should be acknowledged. That the fact that it may turn into the darkness that other parts of the world have seen is very possible. It's very possible. And then how do we live in there? How do we live in that? We'll keep talking. As long as they let us have these dialogues online, this will continue. When that stops happening, if that stops happening, go to the one place that will say everything I'm saying to you louder and more beautifully than I do, which is your own heart. It'll speak to you. Trust me. Love you. Good luck. See where this all goes. Hopefully it will be astounding and wonderful. Bye, guys.